Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Walking the Blunt Blade. I am Oliver. I want to discuss all things Trump this morning. Now, when I say that, don't panic. There's far too much rubbish. So we're just going to choose some highlights. I don't want to waste my own time or your time doing this. And what I'm going to present is just a quick, simple history of the Trumpy. Because I find people have a very short memory. But I'm going to put everything in chronological order for you, hoping it makes sense. I also want to quickly mention that I am not a supporter for the other side. I'm just simply not a Trump supporter, because Trump is a weird guy. His claim to fame at this point in time, going into election for a second time, is that there was no war during his presidency. This is one of the few truths that he has told. It's correct. But that's not what he set out to do. It's just that someone mentioned it, noticed it. Hey, there was no war under Trump, and now it's his big claim to fame. It's not from a lack of trying.
Millions of lives. I think you would have had nuclear holocaust if I didn't deal with North Korea. I think you would have had a nuclear war if I weren't elected. And I think you might have a nuclear war now, if you want to know the truth.
Let's have a quick look at history. So, Trumpy's election promise was to...
We're going to build the wall. We have no choice.
And of course, the response to that, as would have been mine, maybe not as polite, was this.
President of Mexico, Vicente Fox, he said today, and I'm quoting him, he said, "I'm not going to pay for that, quote, effing wall."
Now, when Trump failed to build his wall, like he also made mindless threats beyond, in regards to the response from the Mexicans, telling him to go fuck himself, there was some other stuff that happened. So then young Donald decided he would play games with North Korea, which looked a little bit like this.
North Korea does not make any more threats to the United States. They will be met with fire and fury like the world has never seen.
The only people that stepped in at the time were China and Russia to say, you're not causing any further wars.
A Kremlin spokesperson said they do not agree with an attitude that sees Russia as a threat to the U.S., while China's official news agency warned that Trump's stance could lead to more challenges in economic and trade relations between the countries. And another sign that America's relationship with the big red powers that be is still a little bit rocky, former military officials claim China and Russia are together, hanging out, holding hands, practicing for military strikes against the U.S. should we go to war with North Korea.
Now, after China and Russia told Trumpy to take a chill pill, this happened, although there was no permanent resolution.
On its weapons programs and its designation as a state sponsor.
Following two disasters, not being able to create war and making Mexico pay for a war they didn't want, COVID broke out. Now, Trump on numerous times pinned that on China. I wonder why. Probably because they told him to go and fuck himself as much as Mexico did.
The U.S. is doing far better than any other country when it comes to testing.
Yes.
Why does that matter? Why is this a global competition to you if everyday Americans are still losing their lives and we're still seeing more cases every day?
Well, they're losing their lives everywhere in the world. And maybe that's a question you should ask China. Don't ask me, ask China that question, okay? When you ask them that question, you may get a very unusual answer. Yes, behind you, please.
Sir, why are you saying that to me specifically?
I'm telling you, I'm not saying it specifically to anybody. I'm saying it to anybody that would ask a nasty question.
A nasty question. Are you kidding me? Now, just for fun, Guess who had the highest death toll in the world, according to the World Health Organization, as a result of coronavirus? America. On you, Trumpy. Here at Trump, and we've got to remember, Trump's not a doctor, some of his suggestions at the time to COVID.
Right, and then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? Because you see it gets on the lungs and it does a tremendous number on the lungs. So it'd be interesting to check that. So that you're going to have to use medical doctors with. But it sounds interesting to me. I would like you to speak to the medical doctors to see if there's any way that you can apply light and heat to cure. You know, if you could, and maybe you can, maybe you can't. Again, I say maybe you can, maybe you can't. I'm not a doctor.
I'm glad we had that bit of disclosure there. I'm not a doctor. No shit. Neither am I. Oh dear. So Trump has had many bright ideas which never came to fruition, nor were they ever going to. The worrying thing for people like me is this, and again, people like me aren't left or right, we're straight ahead, no bullshit. You gotta have integrity. You gotta speak the truth. And you gotta do what you say. You can't just mindlessly ramble plans that, you know, you're regurgitating out of a sleepy state. Now the funny thing... You love him. Now the funny thing about Trump is this. He has a severe lack of respect from people around the planet. And this is not just me, it's also non-speaking rock and roll bands. I'm going to leave you with some of this as a final thought. Alright, good morning everybody.
Zur neuen Mauer sind die Gedanken, die uns trennen. Wer dabei hilft, sie aufzubauen, ist bei mir ganz groß im Rennen.